Hello, everybody. We got an update coming out in 3 days on May 6th, and it's going to have the returning Dead Space PvE event for 2 weeks. So from the 6th to the 20th, and also has a few changes to weapons, AI, vehicles, maps. Yeah, let's take a look. For the limited Dead Space event, we got a few changes. We got a few bug fixes and small improvements. All of the weapons that have Dead Space skins are now going to have them automatically equipped. Not sure what that means for if you don't have a Dead Space weapon skin like bought, if that just equips it for you and it's only available in the mode. Not sure. And then they also made it so that the extraction elevator is a little more tense. Enemies are going to be able to enter that elevator, but you'll take less damage from melee and incendiary grenades. They also added a loading screen tutorial, which makes sense. Loading screen tutorials weren't in the game before when the event originally came out, so that makes sense. And a bunch of bug fixes for the mode. They polished and improved the HUD. They increased the time between Juggernaut groups. I don't remember it being egregious, so that might just make things overall a little too easy. Decreased the spawn rate for regular waves and added more time before guys die at the end of the wave. Sounds like you have more time to kill enemies before the start of the next wave. They changed the armory to include the NVK instead of the MCS. They fixed a bug where armory station icons would be visible even if they weren't available. They fixed some out of bounds locations, and they fixed a bug where players occasionally couldn't purchase new weapons after dying, along with a few others. Outside of the returning game mode, though, we got improvements for the NVK, doubles the capacity for all of the ammo types. So buckshot is from 20 to 40, and fletch and slug are both 10 to 20 shells, which is pretty big. And a pretty significant nerf for NGAI is that they won't be able to hit fast-moving vehicles with RPGs as easily. Probably could still land shots, but maybe not as consistently. And some changes for certain maps on certain modes. Stadium on Conquest had unintended out-of-bounds areas between Sector B and the team HQs, which I assume were here and here. I tried to find them in a closed match, and I wasn't able to locate them. They might be in pretty hidden spots. But if you know about them, I'm curious. I want to know where they were, and if they were even really that big of a deal. So yeah, if you know where they were, leave a comment. And a small change for exposure on Hazard Zone, they blocked off a door that wasn't supposed to be accessible. And then for breakaway domination, they reduced the vertical combat area to prevent players from reaching unintended areas. Sounds like you just lowered the skybox so that you couldn't get on certain roofs or high ground. And then on all game modes on Renewal, they removed some invisible collisions above certain solar panels out in the farming fields, which are these ones over here. And I tried to find them and wasn't able to, so they were either pretty small or not in an obvious location. So don't know how big of a deal these were. I'm also curious about these. If you know where they were, let me know, leave a comment. And then for vehicles, they made it so that the deploy menu text was changed from all deployed to unavailable, which is a pretty good change in my opinion. Made absolutely no sense why it says all deployed, especially when there were no vehicles actually deployed. Changing it to unavailable makes way more sense. And they also fixed an issue with 2C4 not destroying Bradley and BMP weak sides when using the active armor upgrade. And I actually did test this. As you can see, 2C5 to the back does not kill if you have the active armor upgrade, but does kill if you don't. So yeah, it's not supposed to protect against explosive damage. And now for weapons, the M16A3 had a strange issue where damage dropped by only 1 point and then went back up. I unfortunately wasn't able to test this because Portal wasn't working for some reason, so I'll have to take their word on it. But oh well. Now for the AK-5C and AN-94, they had a heavy barrel attachment recoil issue where the penalty to recoil wasn't as strong as it was supposed to be. As you can see, when the heavy barrel is attached, it's supposed to reduce your vertical recoil control, but with my testing, it seemed to have no change. So this update will fix that. And then the AN94 specifically had an issue with the scopes not aligning to the iron sight pin at the front. As you can see, if I put a line on the screen, slightly misaligned. So they'll just nudge that over, I guess. And the grenade launcher had an issue where it was affected by the suppressor, which obviously not attached to the grenade launcher, so it shouldn't have done anything to it. So that will behave as normal. And then the hyperburst feature of the AN94, which in the patch notes this is faster first 2 shots in full auto mode. Couldn't visually see this in my testing, but apparently that's a feature of the real life weapon, so I imagine that's what they're going for. And then for the 12M auto, it had an issue where the fire rate would be faster for semi-auto fire with a short barrel than in full auto, but they should be now at the same fire rate. And then for the ACWR and L9CZ, they had laser attachment problems where it states in the patch notes that now gunfire will not start too far behind the lens and correctly shows where you're meant to aim. So I guess there's some laser alignment issues. Couldn't exactly see it in testing, but maybe after the update drops, I'll be able to notice it. Then there was an issue with the taser baton where tapping the melee button wouldn't return you to your previous weapon, unlike other weapons. Which you can see here, holding down the melee button will keep the knife out, but if you tap it, it will immediately bring you back to your gun. But since I don't have the taser baton, I can't exactly test that out. Looks like that's all for the patch notes. I saw a Reddit comment that this is a nothing burger of an update, and I can't help but agree. I mean, this is a significant change for the NVK and Engineer AI. But besides that, very, very, very small changes for different maps on different game modes. A quality of life change for vehicle deploy screen, and then a bunch of fixed issues that really should never have been issues in the first place. Just stuff that slipped through quality check. And yeah, a bunch of improvements for a limited time game mode that we will probably not see a lot of. So it's really not much of an update at all. And I know there's some things people want to see more than this, but still waiting on tier 5 and tier 1 skins for vault weapons and vault vehicles. I think that would be a much more worthwhile thing to get on, but who am I to say much about anything, I guess. But anyway, that's it for the update video. If you are still watching, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya!